All right, everyone. Thank you all so much for taking the time to watch this video. So we will be presenting the summer 2023 indoor soccer campus meeting. And for your information, the league coordinator for this sport will be Christian Ramirez. Here is his email: christian.ramirez@ucf.edu. It is important for you all to take note of this email because that is a person that you will be able to contact if you have any questions throughout the season. So with that, I want to make sure that you as captains are aware of the services that are provided for you all. So we do have an athletic trainer that is on at the RWC that will provide services for you all if you get hurt or anything comes across that you might want to get checked out. Our athletic training team will be able to help you out with anything that you might come across. Also, we believe it is important for you all as captains to understand what a concussion is and the signs and symptoms that may occur, especially through the summer. So I'm gonna go ahead and just read those really quickly. So traumatic concussion is a traumatic brain injury caused by a blow to the head or body. It can change the way your brain works, can be mild or severe. Signs and symptoms can vary in each person and may develop days after initial injury, and it could occur in any activity. Some signs and symptoms is that that person may appear dazed, may answer questions slowly, they won't be able to or can't recall events after being hit. They may lose consciousness, they may have slurred speech, move clumsily, or display incoordination, and may have seizures or convulsions. It is also important for you as a captain to understand the liability waiver that we have you all sign. It is important to make sure that every player that's on your team signs this waiver and understands what this waiver says. So bear with me while I do read to you all this statement. Participation in intramural sports is completely voluntary. Individuals participate at their own risk and assume responsibility for their own health and safety. The University of Central Florida and the Recreation and Wellness Center are not liable for injuries sustained during participation in intramural sports. It is strongly recommended that all participants consult a physician and/or have a physical exam prior to participation. UCF does not provide personal accident/health insurance. Therefore, participants are urged to secure their own insurance. You may suffer physical and/or mental injury from participating in these activities. In order for you all to stay informed with us, please make sure you follow us on Twitter at IamSports to stay up to date for any date, weather info, sign up deadlines, and so on and so forth. Especially during the summer when we may have rain and stuff, and you may have questions whether games are going to happen or not. It is important for you all to stay up to date through IamSports on Twitter so that you are aware of what's going to happen. If you want to make sure that you look at any championship photos, any pictures, marketing materials, make sure that you follow us on Instagram at UCFIamSports. For any articles and season updates, you could definitely check us out at our website at rec.ucf.edu/im, and we will post anything on there. And if you have any questions, you can definitely call us on our IAM office of 407-823-2408. Now I'm going to go ahead and touch a little bit on your responsibilities as a captain. So just 3 main points is that you're responsible to understand when your team plays. So know your team schedule. Make sure that everyone on your roster is eligible. So please read the eligibility form that is on the captain's guide so you are aware of who you can add to your roster and who you cannot add to your roster, and making sure that you have enough on your roster to be able to compete. Also game time. So if your games are at 6 p.m., making sure that you arrive before then, because if your team's arriving at 6 p.m. and they're not ready to go, then our intramural supervisors are going to deem as a forfeit. Your team needs to be ready to go, ready to play on the court by the game time to be eligible. Also, other things that you need to be aware of as a captain are forfeits and defaults. So ways to avoid the $30 forfeit fee is by making sure that you show up before game time and have the minimum amount that is required to participate. So for example, soccer, you may need minimum of 3. So if that is the case, then you need to have that minimum before game time. Postseason eligibility. So let's say if you do end up forfeiting a game, you don't tell anyone about it, you end up forfeiting a game, you will need to make sure that you pay that forfeit fee. If you do not pay that forfeit fee, then your team will not be eligible for the playoffs or the postseason. We understand that things may come across throughout the season. So if you know that you and your team will not be able to make it to a game, we do provide you all with 1 default per season. However, you're only able to use 1 default. Anything else after that will be considered a forfeit. In order to find out how to fill out the default form, if you go to the UCF RWC website and go to intramural sports, you will be able to find a tab that says forms and be able to fill out a default form there to let us know that you won't be able to make it to the game. A little bit more in regards to the default form, you do need to make sure that you fill this out 24 hours in advance. So if your game is at 6 p.m. of the next day, then you need to make sure that you fill it out the day before. We understand that sometimes you may want to change teams. However, understand that players may only play for one single gender team and one co-rec team per sport. For indoor soccer, we don't have co-rec, we have open, but same thing applies. Only one for single gender and then one open team per sport. A player can switch teams by filling out the team change form. So let's say if you no longer want to play for the team that you're a part of and want to change, there is a form that you need to fill out. Same thing as a default form. It's called the RWC UCF website. You go to Intramural Sports, go to forms, you'll be able to find a team change form, and that would allow you to change teams. All you need to do is just fill out the information that it requires you to fill out and make sure that both captains from the team that you currently are at and the team that you want to change to are aware of the situation. A player must go to a team in a different division or one that is lower in the standings in the same division. So, for example, if you are in a team on Mondays at 7 p.m., you can go to another team that's in the same division. You have to go to a different one. You also can go to a team that is either the same rating or higher as you. You need to go to a team that is lower in the standings. A team change must occur before week 3, which is typically in the middle of the regular season. So once it's in the middle of the regular season and you want to change after that, you won't be able to. So if you want to change teams, it needs to be before then. Both teams cannot have forfeits and must be approved by the league coordinator. So if the team that you want to change to has a forfeit, then unfortunately you will not be able to change your team. And if you have any questions, you can contact the league coordinator and they'll be able to help you out with any situations. Also, if you need some free players, you need more players to fill out your roster. If you go to the free agents tab on IM Leagues, there's some players that are on there that are looking to join teams. So if you go ahead and take a peek at that, you'll be able to find some players to join your roster. And right here is an example of what it looks like and where you can go to be able to find free agents. A little bit more about eligibility rules. If you do not have your UCF ID, you will not be allowed to play. So if you have a picture of it, does not count. If you show us your account, your My UCF account, that also does not count. If you give us your driver's license or passport, whatever may be, any government issued ID, that does not count. The only thing that we accept is your UCF ID. Therefore, if you do not have your UCF ID, you will not be allowed to play. Also, no varsity or professional players. One club player is the only thing that we allow for indoor soccer. So I'm gonna go ahead and touch on summer eligibility. Please ignore what's listed on here. So far, from my understanding, you must be enrolled in spring 2023. I'm sorry, summer 2023, and you must be registered as a student in order to participate in intramural sports. If you are not registered as a student for the summer, then you will not be able to participate in summer leagues. So just understand that that is how we determine your eligibility. So now we're going to go ahead and touch on sportsmanship and conduct. So you as a captain need to understand that it is your responsibility to ensure proper conducts of all teams and fans that are there. That is your responsibility. So everyone that's on your team is your responsibility, along with their fans and any people that they might bring with them. That is your responsibility. Ejected players are suspended indefinitely. So what we have is an ejection reinstatement meeting that we will need to have with you all. If you do get ejected, they will be suspended until they meet with the coordinator or the assistant director to have that meeting and get reinstated again. Any player ejected is ineligible for the postseason tournament. So what this means is if you get ejected during the season, you will not be able to play during the playoffs. Any team with 2 players ejected is ineligible for the tournament. So if you have 1 player ejected for week 1 and then week 3 you get another player ejected, then that team is automatically disqualified and will not be able to participate in the playoff tournament. So if you do end up getting ejected, make sure that you go to the UCF RWC website. You go to Intramural Sports, you click forms, and then on forms, you will find a reinstatement meeting request form. Fill that request form out, and a coordinator or assistant director will be able to contact you to have a meeting with you all to get reinstated. A little bit more about the league information. So the league will begin May 30th, and will last all the way through July 10th. The postseason, which is a playoff single elimination tournament, will start July 11th and will run all the way to July 24th. We will have games Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays only. So please be aware that those are the days that we will play. The tournament day of play and withdrawal. So what this means is once we'll go into the playoffs, there will be days that you will play that you are not used to playing. So let's say if you register to play only on Mondays, playoffs you may play on a Tuesday or Wednesday. Since that is the case, we want to make sure that if you know you are not able to play any of the other days, that you withdraw from the playoff tournament to avoid any potential forfeits. Also, another thing to know is that you must add players to the playoff roster by the last regular season game. So if your last game is on a Monday and you don't play Tuesday and Wednesday, then your roster needs to be filled, and you need to make sure that you had everyone that you want to add on there before your last regular season game. That is the roster that we will use for the playoffs. So now I'm going to go ahead and touch on a little bit more of indoor soccer rules. Please understand that no sliding is allowed whatsoever. We will be inside MAC gym, so no sliding whatsoever. So just understand that is the case and make sure that everyone on your team is aware of that rule. It is going to be 6-on-6, but you can play with 4 if that is what you have. So what that means is you need to have a minimum of 4 players to be able to play. I know previously I said 3, but just to reiterate, make sure that we're on the same page, it actually is 4. So make sure that you have 4 players on your team to be able to play. If you do not have 4 players, then you will be assessed a forfeit. Substitutions, the way that they work is that you get to substitute whenever you want. It's on the fly. However, the only thing we ask is that you make sure that the player is completely out before you go in. Shin guards are required, so making sure that everyone that is playing has shin guards. And since it is indoor soccer, we will not have offsides. Other things to know is just things that you cannot have. So, for example, jewelry. Jewelry you're not allowed to wear. You need to make sure that all jewelry is off. Make sure that jerseys, you check them out on the member services desk. So that's the front desk when you walk into the RWC. And making sure that you get jerseys for your team. And making sure that you return them at the end of the night when you are done playing. Goalie crease. So we do have like somewhat, it looks like a 3-point line. Understand that only the goalie can be in there. Any other players cannot be going inside that goalie crease. We do have yellow and red cards, so just understand that 2 yellow cards equals a red, and if you have 2 ejections in one game, then the game will be over and it'll be considered a forfeit. Another thing that you should know is we will have 2 15-minute halves, and then games can end in a tie. So if it's 0-0 by the end of the game, then it will be considered a tie. Cool. So that is all for the indoor soccer captains meeting. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Make sure that you complete the quiz and make sure that you need to get at least 80% on that quiz to create your team and be eligible to be registered in the league. If you have any questions, make sure you contact the league coordinator, Christian.Ramirez at ucf.edu, and he'll be able to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.